Welcome to my presentation of Art That Changed the World, Part 1. This series is about artwork that has influenced our world not only historically, but scientifically, artistically, psychologically, and eventually in areas of the media and technology. So this presentation will go off the beaten path and include works you don't often see. Also, I chose many of the works because of their influence on the science fiction and fantasy field. The real truth is that these works did not consciously do this. They didn't consciously try to influence. They were simply the ideas and truths of the artist in his or her world. So we begin with a painting called The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli. I remember seeing this painting in my art history class one day and instantly became mesmerized as well as horrified by it. My instructor passed over the piece quickly and never gave it much emphasis, which was often the case with any painting that he found to be unabstract. So years later, I was astonished to see this painting in a movie about Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, Percy Shelley, and John Polidori. The movie was called Gothic. In the movie, the painting sits above the mantel in Mary's bedroom. She gazes on it before sleep, and it becomes part of her fitful nightmare. I am not sure that Byron owned the original or if he possessed a copy, but it is true that they were all familiar with this painting. The painting was created in 1781 and it was first displayed at the annual Royal Academy exhibition in London in 1782. There it shocked, titillated, and frightened visitors and critics. This was not the usual moralizing subject, nor was it from history, the Bible, or literature. It appeared to be made up. So what is this painting about? The artist Henry Fuseli was a well-educated man who often depicted subject matter from literature in his art, but not with this particular painting. When it was first shown, nobody knew what to think of it. There was no story, no hint of something from literature, nothing, of course, biblical. So what you see here is this woman stretched out in a very vulnerable position, with the goblin sitting on her chest. The goblin can also be described as the incubus. The horse, as it appears peeking through the curtains, is the nightmarish steed upon which the creature rides. It also represents a mare or Mara, a spirit that was related to torment or to suffocate sleepers. So it could be reference to night terrors. Many considered it a pun on the word nightmare, but that was not the artist's original intention. It is suggested that the subject of the piece is Anne Landolph, a woman Fuseli fell in love with, proposed to, and was rejected. The nightmare's stark mixture of horror, sexuality, and morbidity became an icon of Romanticism and a defining image of Gothic horror. Oddly enough, there is a weird connection between Mary Shelley and Fuseli. In 1792, Mary's mother, Mary Wollstonecraft, the author of modern feminism, had a platonic relationship with Fuseli. She admired his works, attended his shows, and had social engagements with him. However, she became a bit too infatuated with him and suggested to Fuseli's wife that they should have a threesome. Fuseli, appalled by her suggestion, ended the relationship. Mary went on to wed someone else. She later died, giving birth to Mary Godwin, aka Mary Shelley. So years after, Mary Shelley was aware of the works by Fuseli. The true story goes that the night that Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, 5 of the most famous people in the world gathered at Lord Byron's summer house in Villa Diodati on the southern shore of Lake Geneva in Switzerland. They included Lord Byron, Dr. John Polidori, Percy Shelley, Claire Clairmont, and her stepsister Mary Godwin, Mistress to Percy Shelley. The guests at Byron's chateau, bored by the days of constant rain, were challenged to write ghostly stories to entertain each other. Mary's story that night later became Frankenstein's monster, and Polidori wrote Vampire. John Polidori's Vampire was a clear precursor to Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it ushered in the modern-day vampire storyline. Mary was 18 years of age when she wrote Frankenstein's monster. The nightmare is considered to be a precursor of late 19th century ideas about psychoanalytic theories regarding dreams and the unconscious. Sigmund Freud kept a reproduction of the painting. From the inspiration of monumental works in horror and the influences into psychology, The Nightmare by Henry Fuseli well deserves its spot as a creation that changed the world both in its time and beyond.